All right, so oh, it'd be nice if I had the questions with me. That might help. Here they are. So I'm gonna do an intro,
hmm
and then I'll just ask you these questions. It's real easy, and just answer truthfully. I mean, you can lie; it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter if you want to lie. But this is gonna be recorded, so don't drop any f bombs there. I know you're an avid cursor, so I thought
Oh
I'd
yeah, yeah, potty
so
mouth.
yeah, quite frankly. So I'm gonna do an intro, and then we're gonna roll. I hate doing the intro. It's
Cool.
my least favorite part. Okay, here we go. Hey everyone, this is Deiveon with the Archbishop Rumble Genesian Players, and I'm here with Sarah Grosse, one of our seniors. How you doing, Sarah?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing all right myself. I wanted to call and check in with you guys because your last show under these unfortunate circumstances is probably canceled. I know it's postponed right now, but it's going to be tough sledding to get anything going probably
hmm
this year. And one of the things that our seniors enjoy with the Genesians is the final circle. And you guys didn't really get that closure of a final circle. So I wanted to call and check in with you guys and kind of go through what's happening in your careers and just recap and you can say what you want to say to the other Genesians and you can recap what you've done so far. Sounds good?
Awesome.
Right. So we're going to start naturally at the beginning. Tell me your story of how you got in Genesian.
Okay. So in eighth grade, like I had just come to Chappelle. It was like a really new scene. I had joined the
Mm-hmm.
band, but I hadn't participated in Genesians when I was in eighth grade. I was still, trying to get used to things. And
Mm-hmm.
so freshman year rolls around, and Ash has talked to me multiple times about coming to audition. I was like, all right, I'll come audition. I'll see what this is all about. And so we were doing Secret Garden, and I
Mm-hmm.
came and auditioned, and I was cast as Martha, and it was such a blessing. And just being in that environment for the first time, it was electric. I loved every second that I spent there because we were just people doing what we loved.
Right.
And my love for theater and just for the group grew through these 4 years, and I grew as a performer and as a
Mm-hmm.
person from the skills that I've acquired from the shows that we've done. So really, it was just Ash was really wanting me to come audition and I'm glad that I did because I really found another home in the theater.
Yeah, we were more than happy to have you there. Secret Garden, that was my senior year, your first year in Genesian.
hmm
So tell me, what was your experience like during Secret Garden? What was it like working on that show?
It was definitely different than like past things I've done because I had really done a lot of ensemble work and
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't memorized a lot of lines before this. It was kind of new to me,
Right.
but I really felt like I was able to grow and being able to work with other teenagers my age,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like a really fun show to do because it had so much depth to it, and I
Right.
had read the book when I was younger and I loved the story and I just loved being able to be a part of it and kind of like immersing myself into the story. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people read the book, The Secret Garden, so and
hmm
it's really just a great show. The script was great. I loved your song, "Move On." After
Oh,
I got
thank you.
after my character Neville Craven smacks Mary Lennox, you're
Oh,
like,
that was
"Don't worry."
fierce. Fierce.
You're like, "Don't worry about that bad old man. He's just angry and jealous." Which I mean, it's on point. Um, so yeah, that was your first show in Genesians, and then what was your second? What was your show after that?
so we did How to Succeed in Business Without Really
Hmm.
Trying, which was such a blast. Oh my gosh, it was
Yeah,
so much fun. And it was hilarious. It was such a funny show.
right. So, what was the difference like going obviously from a dramatical musical to a musical comedy and a very classic and revered one at that? What was the difference there for you in approaching the text?
Um, so I was using a lot of different kinds of skills. I was reaching into like comedic acting for
Hmm.
the first time, and I was trying to learn a lot. Through your physical movements you can really like bring out the funny moments sometimes,
Right.
or even in the way that you say things. Like that matters like in dramatic text, but it's just different for comedy. So I liked
Mhm.
being able to play with the text and like see how I would like say this particular thing to make
Right.
it funny, or how I would like dramatize my movements to kind of make it as funny as possible. And the songs, even like the lyrics are hilarious, so I loved
Mhm.
just playing with them to bring out the most comedic side of them.
Right. And that was the first show out of two or three, maybe, I guess, that you got to play opposite of Austin. It was the
Yes.
beginning, the beginning of that companionship.
Uh-huh.
Um, we'll touch on
Definitely.
that later. But so then after How to Succeed, what was your next show?
Then we did Barnum, which was such a different experience. We weren't even in the
Mhm.
theater anymore. We were in the gym,
Right.
and it was crazy. We had mics for the first time. We had this huge space that we were working in, which was
Mhm.
definitely different. We were sharing a rehearsal space with the cheerleaders, which was definitely new and took some getting used to. But overall, I think everybody, learned a lot from the experience and was able to
Mhm.
grow, and it was just so much fun.
What was your favorite song in that show, Barnum?
Um, I have to say it was kind of a combination of two. My
Mhm.
favorite solo song for me was "Colors of My Life" Reprise, because I was just kind of
Mhm.
there and just speaking to the audience, and it was a really real moment. I
Mhm.
really liked "I Like Your Style" as well, because it was me
Right.
and Austin, and the choreography was super fun.
Mhm.
And it just kind of showed the bond that the two
Right.
characters have, and the different colors of it. It was good, but it was really fun, and it was just really personal.
Right. What was it like? Obviously, you're in the gym. There's two different sides of bleachers in the gym. What was it like playing the
Mhm.
two halves of an audience?
It took some getting used to at first, but I felt like trying to make my way around the entire gym. The choreography certainly helped with that. Miss Callie was helping to help us go to
Hmm.
different sides so that we were able to interact with everybody. I was never really worried about you know, facing two side like to the
Hmm.
side of the audience too much, or like cheating out, because there was audience everywhere
Right. Right.
basically. So I was just trying my best to look like do a certain mannerism this way, and then maybe like turn around this way, and the choreography
Right.
helped with that as well.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And then so after Barnum, what was next? Charlie Brown.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Charlie Brown it was such a different experience because of
Hmm.
Michael, but it was so much fun and awesome nonetheless.
Yeah. So what was it like working with the student director? Did you find it just as easy as a process, or is it a little harder?
It was definitely it was different, but I think it came together all the same.
Hmm.
Our process of rehearsals, and like the order of how we did things in rehearsals was a little bit different, because I was also
Hmm.
helping with some of the music and playing people's parts and everything. Michael's way of giving notes was definitely different from Esh's, so
Hmm.
getting used to different directors is an important skill that an actor should have.
Right.
And it was more comedic text, and so I was able to pull from what I had learned from How to Succeed and kind of like
Right.
implement that. But I really loved working with him because he was very easy to work with, and
Hmm.
he liked bouncing ideas off of his actors to just kind of bring out all of the colors of the show.
Right. You love that word colors, don't you? The colors of the
Lots
show.
of colors.
So then, what was the next step of Charlie Brown?
Well, I did crew for Richard II, and that was my
Okay.
first crew experience. I did Costume Apprentice, which was kind of
Hmm.
like, I had experience with quick changes before at
Right.
Rivertown, and so like being able to use those skills a little bit, and I was just kind of trying to help backstage in whatever way I could, because
Hmm.
it was not being on stage was different, but it was still an enriching experience because I learned
Right.
about the story, because it was
Right.
a Shakespeare show, and I learned some good backstage skills that I could even apply as an actor.
Right. Um, I do know sometimes. An experience backstage helps just revitalize how much you love being on stage. Sometimes, even if maybe you couldn't do the show, or if maybe you thought you didn't even want to do the show, but you spend, a couple of shit performances backstage, and you're like, man, I miss just being on the stage. Did you find yourself having an experience like that?
I did, like, being able to watch from the wings. I kind of wished, man, I really, really liked being on stage.
Right.
But I think, being backstage was an important learning experience as well, just as valuable.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And then so after Richard was My Fair Lady, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, so talk about the experience of diving into possibly the most famous female character in the theater canon.
I had so much fun just, discovering more layers of the character, because, Eliza's she's so complicated, trying to capture every part of her. I mean, let alone the accent was fun. I've done like a lot of accent work with Genesians. It was really fun. And trying to develop her personality and the transformation that she goes through the entire show. And it took some time really trying to find, all of those layers and all that depth, because I had to get familiar with the text first. Learning my lines was a challenge because there's so many of them. It's a long show. But also just listening to the album over and over helped me with lyrics. And the songs are so iconic. And just developing my character through that whole process. I was kind of also able to make her my own. I was able to play with my props and play with the other characters as well. The dynamic that Austin's character and I had on stage was definitely it was frustrating, and it was hilarious. Yeah.
Right. So I talked about this a bit with Noah. It's the idea of trying to embody a character but make it your own at the same time. And we're talking about it because when he did She Loves Me, he'd find himself watching the Zachary Levi performance and listening to that performance. And he didn't want to imitate it, but he wanted to make it his own, but at the same time pull some of the best elements. How do you find that balance yourself in shows like My Fair Lady?
So for me, I like the point about not imitating the character, because when you're an actor, you want to make everything your own, but you still want to show some honor to the original performance. So I've studied how like Julie Andrews said things or sang things in the original recording. And like I tried them, made sure that I knew how the original was, and then I would play around with a couple things and I'd say, oh, I like that, I'm going to use that. Or even like when we were practicing scene work in rehearsals, like I would do a scene a certain way or say a line a particular way, and I'd make a mental note of that, like, oh, I like that. That's kind of a way to put my own spin on it, and I would keep it. Or when Ash like points out, oh, I like that, keep that. I love when she does that because I feel so proud of myself. But yeah, I think it's important to know the original text and interpretation, and then start picking pieces that you can kind of make to establish your own character.
I totally agree. I think it's a little funny, because when I was in Cinderella at Cabrini, Liz Argus said, I'm going to tell you that I love something you just did, but I'm going to tell you that since I've told you that I liked it, you're not going to do it for the next two performances.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Yeah, it's funny. But so this is the third show that you played opposite of Austin. How did you feel your connection on stage developed, and your understanding of how each other acts developed over the three shows?
It was we played opposite of each other kind of in three different ways, like in How to Succeed, like it was like a schoolgirl crush kind of thing, and in Barnum we had this long marriage, and then in My Fair Lady I was kind of like his little project, and we were like infuriated with each other. So each time was a little bit different, but we learned things about each other and the way that we convey our expressions on stage, and it's helped us to be able to mesh together even better, like in future shows. Because like working on scenes together, I would say, oh, okay, I remember he's doing that, so I can like kind of play off of that, like make a certain expression, like he'll make a certain face, and then like I'll
Right.
make a certain face in response, because like we kind of know how we work because we've done so many things together, and I think that's a really great tool.
Hmm.
And I think we've just had great on-stage chemistry, which is, it's really lucky to find that. And he's a great actor, and I've
Hmm.
like pulled things that he's done, and it's helped me to become a better performer as well.
Gotcha, gotcha. And so, as it turns out, My Fair Lady might be the last show you performed on the Genesian stage, but you were working on Crucible. I know, so sad. But you were working on the Crucible, right, when this all happened.
Yes.
So what was the
Um,
experience? Yeah, what was that experience like working on Crucible?
so that was my first on stage straight play, so I was so excited. Crucible is one of my favorite like play literature
Hmm.
pieces. I had read it a couple years ago in my English class, and I loved it. I loved the
Hmm.
time period that it was set in, but also examining the context in which it was written, like during I think it was the Cold War and like the Red Scare.
Right,
It all
right.
just like weaved together really nicely, and I was really excited because I was like, I can finally work on my skills as an actor rather than as like
Hmm.
a singer first, because it's
Right,
important. You can't just be a singer. You've gotta have tools in your acting arsenal to be able to fully embody a character. And I
right.
think the character of Elizabeth that I was playing was, she had a lot of different, I mean, every character has a lot of layers, but she kind of
Hmm.
had this really interesting internal conflict because there was this affair, and he's tried to
Hmm.
make it up to her, but she can't find it in her heart to truly forgive him. And then all of this stuff with the witch trials goes on, and it just complicates things even more.
Right.
And trying to embody that pain was difficult, and I was still working on it when all of this came crashing down essentially.
Right.
But it was really fun to do so far. And I've still enjoyed
Hmm.
like the Zoom rehearsals that we've been having, because it helps me keep it fresh and
Right.
play with my lines even more.
No, I totally hear that. Yeah, you said it was your first straight play, so you really did get to focus on the acting. And
Mhm.
and like you said, that play it's always relevant, especially it was written in the era of McCarthyism. So yeah, I
Mhm.
totally appreciate those comparisons, and it's always a relevant play. So now I'm going to ask you, Sarah, what would what would you say to the others if you had a final circle right now? What's your message to your other
Well, I'd be crying, um,
Genesians?
but among all the tears, I would thank every Genesian that I've encountered, whether on stage or off stage or in work crews, because each of them has taught me something special about
Hmm.
myself. Not just about how I perform or how to be a better actor, but just kind of like how to be a better person. I've
Right.
made really valuable friendships on and off stage. We through shared interests or just like joking
Hmm.
around and having fun, because it's essentially what we're doing. We're playing. But um, I was really thankful that I was able to get to know all of them so personally, and by doing things that we love. And I'm just so proud of how far they've all come. I remember when they were little babies, and
Right.
they're still our babies, like eighth graders, who will be moving up in future years. And I'm so proud of them, and I'm really excited to see the work that they're going to be doing, because this is important work. Like being able
Hmm.
to tap into your emotions and convey that to other people, I just think it's so beautiful.
Right. Right. No, I totally agree. And you guys were my babies, so it's funny to see you guys finally being
That's
seniors.
right.
So, I wanted to ask you: are there any professional shows or shows outside of the Genesians you did during high school that you wanted to talk about real quick?
um Well, definitely, outside of like school, because
Hmm.
school takes up a lot of time. I did a couple of Rivertown, which was so much fun, and it
Hmm.
really taught me a lot more about how the professional, like outside of high school, process works.
Hmm.
When you're putting a show together, my first experience there was Mary Poppins Jr., which was so
Hmm.
much fun because I was around all of my friends. I
Hmm.
hadn't done a junior show before, so I had gotten that experience, and it was a Disney show too, and those are
Right.
always fun.
Those are always fun.
And so my character, Winifred Franks, she was just a lot of fun to portray because she could have this personality, but also this connection with her family that was kind of getting repaired throughout the whole show. And it was just a really great message, and I liked being a part of it. And then actually all of the shows that I've done at Rivertown have been Disney shows now that I think about it, because after that was Beauty and the Beast, where I got to be a fork, and that was so much fun. You know, I just really embraced the ensemble life because I hadn't gotten, you know, a ton of experience with it before, but I enjoyed it just as much because I made friendships with people backstage, and I was able to dance my little fork heart out. And it was just, it was so big, and it was so glittery and so much fun, and I really enjoyed every part of it. And it was tiring. We were like, I remember at the very end of Be Our Guest, we're like high kicking and like belting out high C's, and it was exhausting. But it was so worth it. And then my final experience. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say.
Final.
Oh.
No, you're good. You're good.
I was just gonna say, I remember the first night's applause of Be Our Guest. It was like 40 seconds of just applause before we were able to leave the stage. That's all I was gonna say.
It was magical. I hadn't experienced that before in such a large theater, and it was just like, it felt so good because we were like, we did it, and then their applause was so long, and it was just so great. And my final project was Into the Woods, and I got to do some stage work as well as backstage work. So the first act, I was doing some crew things like helping to move set pieces and do quick changes, which I'd had a little bit of experience with in the past. And then I was Sleeping Beauty at the very end of the second act. And although I didn't have like a ton of stage time, you know, it was a beautiful show. And I spent a lot of time studying what the other actors were doing because, you know, there's so much depth in it, in the lyrics and in the characters. So I really enjoyed just being able to take a step back and watch what they were doing and learn from it for future experience.
Oh yeah, definitely. So now those are the professional shows you want to touch on real quick. I do want to talk a little bit about your band experience. You were in it for a while. My favorite experience of you in the band, I think it was my senior year. You sang at the Christmas show for the Rummel students, and I remember everyone was just so impressed. I'm walking through the hall, and I hear the football players saying, "That is one of the best singers I've ever heard." So if you just want to touch real quick on your experience, what was it like being in the band for 5 years?
Band was just as important to me as Genesians was because, you know, I was splitting my after school time between band and Genesians. I was spending a lot of time at Rommel. And it gave me, you know, different tools about how to be a better performer, except this time I had an instrument in my hand. And it just really taught me different leadership skills that I was also able to apply to Genesians in different ways, being a band officer. And I, you know, got a little bit higher rank every year, and I was just able to use that in various aspects of my life. Talking about that day for the jazz band, oh my gosh, I was in disbelief when all the guys stood up and they were yelling like it was a pep rally or something. It was magical, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're doing this. But that shows you the power of music sometimes. You know, it just, everybody like exploded, and I was really proud of myself in that moment. But it was just so much fun, and I was really glad I was able to share that, you know, with the band and, you know, with the whole school. Right.
No, that was a magical moment, certainly. So, what's next for Sarah?
Well, whenever all of this quarantine craziness is over, I'm going to be attending Southeast Missouri State University at the Dobbins Conservatory of Theater and Dance. So it's really cool. It's like a conservatory inside of a public university, and I'll be pursuing a BFA in musical theater with a music minor. So
Wow.
I'm really, really excited. I've been interacting with a little bit of the faculty and some of the incoming students.
Hmm.
So I'm really excited for the work that I'm going to be doing there. I'm going to be in a new state with a lot of new
Yeah.
people that I've never met before. And it is a scary thought sometimes, but it's also really thrilling that I'm going to get to be studying something that I love so much.
I hear that. Congratulations, Sarah. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
So to end, I thought we'd end on a positive note. Trust me, your college is also a positive note. But I just wanted to ask you, what's your favorite scene from any show you were in at Genesian?
Oh gosh, that's such a hard question. um, Trying to think. I think it has to have been from My Fair Lady. My favorite scene.
I also want to
I know
ask you,
one of my. Mhm.
which of the My Fair Lady endings was your favorite?
Oh gosh. Um, I mean, I loved them all, but I have to say, sorry, Noah. I I was just really like, you want Higgins to get what he deserves, but you also want them to like be together because you're just like, oh, they have to be because like they infuriate each other, but they love each other. So
Right.
I think, I loved the one where Higgins and Eliza end up together, but I also love the one where Freddie comes in and steals her because you're just like,
Hmm.
oh my gosh.
Gotcha.
um so that was one of my favorite moments from the show, and I also loved Wouldn't It Be Loverly, because it was just
Oh,
a fun dance number. It's an iconic song. It's just so sweet, and
yeah.
they're thinking about like, oh, if I had money I could do all of this, and it's just really fun, and it's really sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a great moment in the show, Sarah. Well, all right. It was great talking to you. Please stay safe. Wish you my
Thank you.
best
You as
wishes.
well. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I'll talk to you soon, Sarah, okay?
Alrighty. Bye bye, Dee.
Bye.